talking about like 3 minutes already, but obviously there was nothing going on. There was a technical issue. So once again, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tomas. I work as a sales manager here at Sensoneo. And today I'll be speaking about hidden savings in your waste collection data, or a service that we call the collection efficiency analysis. It's not just me today. In the backstage and the background, we also have our colleagues. One of them is our marketing manager and the boss and the guru and the host of all of this and the webinars and everything that you can see that looks nice and shiny in Sensoneo, and her name is Jana. And the other one is Robert, or Bobby, or Robo in Slovak language, who is our data specialist and data analyst, and he'll be helping to answer all of the questions and the deep dive questions that you might have and I'm not able to answer. Please feel free to discuss right in between in the YouTube section comments or the streaming section comments, and Janka and also Robert will try to answer in the meantime. And of course, in the ending of the whole session, there will be room for questions. I'll try to answer as much as I can. As mentioned, today is going to be mostly about the collection efficiency analysis and the analytics and data as it is. But for those of you who maybe don't know anything or not too much about Sensoneo yet, let me just give you a few words and a brief intro about what actually Sensoneo is and what we do. And the best way probably how to do this from the beginning is with the wise word from our CEO, and this is the lovely guy, Martin. And basically, the whole motto and the whole reason why Sensoneo was built and why we still work, and the whole intention was to help the collection companies, waste collection companies, and help the cities and all other businesses to manage their waste in a cost-efficient way and in a smart way in the digitized era of 2021 now, and 2020, and basically when we started. Because the waste industry, as you can imagine, I'm not sure if there's anybody directly from the waste industry, but it hasn't changed too much when it comes to digitization over the past decade, maybe even 2 decades, and we try to help. We are not Mr. Know-it-alls. We don't know everything, but we really try to help. And I like to emphasize these words about helping, about cost efficiency, because we are going to be speaking about that a lot today, and the word efficiency and the cost will be mentioned quite a few times today. Just so you know, we started back in 2014. Since then, we managed to scale up, fortunately enough, to 56 plus countries, and there's more than 200 ongoing projects already going on. We're still quite small in terms of, we're definitely not a corporation, but it's not even our intention. We scale through partners, but we have a very senior team of our own R&D people, basically. So everything that you will see and every of our products are our own R&D, and it's in our hands, which is very nice. And we are definitely flexible, and we can rely on the data. And we have a very, as mentioned, a very strong partner network around the globe with almost 50 partners now, and some of them you can even see down there, like EY, T-Mobile, and quite a few big guys. Just to show you what we actually do, we, as I mentioned, bring data to the world of waste management. How we do it is quite simple. If you want to work with the data, you need to gather them somehow. We started with sensors that we put in the bins and monitor how the fill level, so how full the bins are. Then we managed to move to different sectors, and now this is what you see on the screen now. That's basically what we do. So it's very simplified because those sections interact with one another, and I'll mention it a few times today. But as you can see, we do asset management solutions, waste monitoring solutions, most of all, the route planning and the optimization solutions that have a lot to do with the data that even you gather from the analysis that I'll show you today. We also have some industry-specific solutions for factories, for overflowing warning systems, for collection point management systems, for take-back operators, or EPR systems, so extended responsibility of producers, And there's a lot of things that we already do now. Please, if you're interested, stick with us, reach out to me, or stick with our webinar plan, because we are going to be speaking about all of these during the course of this month and the next month as well. Now, as I said, the good decisions and the whole reason why we even do the analysis, and not just the analysis, but why we do Sensoneo, is because we try to bring the data to the management of the waste. I'm not trying to say they don't work with the data, but as I mentioned, it's not so digitized and it's not so intelligent yet, and we try to help with that. And every good manager, as we believe, needs to make truly good decisions, and you can make truly good decisions based on data only. You can have the gut feeling, and it's really important in making the decisions and the management decisions. But when it comes to business, you should work with the data, and every good manager works with the data. And you need to truly know your business. Now, the collection efficiency analysis, the service that we offer, is it's the reason why we do it, and the outcome of the service that we do. It can be summarized in few of these questions. These, of course, these are not all of them, but these are some questions that we get a lot, I would say. So how can I, if we talk to the managers or we talk to the collection companies, because this is mainly meant for the waste collection companies and their operations and how they collect the waste and how effective they are being, they ask us a lot, like how can I get the data? Can I rely on my data? How can I save money? What are the costs for collecting one bin? How do I set the pricing structure based on the data? Of course, they know how they do it in some way now, and we think there's just a more simple way and a faster way and a more flexible way how to do it, especially in these times of the COVID crisis, where you see that you need to react very quickly, and the whole distribution of the waste, producing of the waste, has shifted from the office buildings to home offices, and so the waste is pretty much produced at homes now, and the collection companies have to react to it. And unfortunately, not all of them are ready for it, and it's very hard to react. If there's anybody from a directly waste collector, or if you know anybody in the direct waste management business, I first of all want to say a big thank you, because it's overlooked in these days. We know that these people are also in the so-called first line. So yeah, there's doctors and there's police guys and everybody, but also the trash guys and the garbage guys. They just have to be there. They have to be out there. They have to take the trash out, and there's nothing. If those guys crash, if those guys had the coronavirus and the COVID, you could imagine what the cities would look like, and it would be a total disaster. So it's overlooked most of the times, and so from my side, big thank you. Please stay healthy. That applies to all of you, of course. Please just stay home, stay safe, and get vaccinated as fast as you can. Back to the data and back to the collection efficiency analysis. As I mentioned, I will be answering a couple of these questions, and we are able to answer a couple of these questions, and all of these questions and even more questions when we do the collection efficiency analysis, and when we work with the data and we work with the outcome. I like this slide just because when we work with our clients, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just waste collection companies, but it could be a city, a business, they want to see some kind of case study, like show me how someone like me has done it. And it's good, it's pretty good. Like case studies are a great way to show how something works, but we believe that the analysis is even better. And the reason is very simple, because it's your data, and we show you your data and we work directly with your data. So the waste business and the waste management business is so that there's so many variables, and it's not no city does it the same way as the city next to him. So everybody has their own like little shifts and little things that they do just themselves, and we work directly with your data, not anybody else's data. So that's why we think it's better than the case study itself. Now, the way we do it, you see the circle of the process of the and it's not just the collection efficiency analysis and not just the analytics, because that's just the first part, I would say. And it's the whole ecosystem that we try to provide to the waste collection company. So at the beginning, you see the analysis. We work with the as-is state. What that means, we gather data, we show you how effective you are. Today, I'm going to be speaking mostly about this part with maybe a few twerks to the modeling, and I'll show you a couple of things that we do. But today, I'll be speaking about the as-is status, so how to look at your data and your effectiveness and your cost effectiveness most of all. But then again, you get the data, you want some recommendations how to do it. We are able to do this with within our tools, so we are able to even model the future state. So if you do something different, what's it going to look like? So that's the modeling phase. This could take a while. Honestly, this could take even a month or 2 months, the modeling, because there's so many data, and there's so much data, and there's so many variables. Then of course we go to pilot. Then if we go to pilot, the clients go live and they can implement our solutions. They don't have to implement our solutions, of course. I'm going to be speaking about our solutions now, and those solutions can be the planning, the route planning itself, the driver navigation app, the implementing of the sensors, implementing of the RFID tags, and precise GPS trackers, and much more data gathering sources. And I'll show them to you in the end. What it means, it can be confusing sometimes when we say we gather the data. These are data that we actually gather from the waste collection companies. It looks like a lot. In the end, it's not a lot, because it's all the data that the waste collection companies actually have. They need to have this kind of data to be able to correctly collect the waste. So as you can see, there's data from the bins, how big they are, what types they are, where are they actually located at, who is the owner. That's the same thing that applies to the collected bins. Same thing applies to the routes. So you know the data from your GPS trackers or from your telemetry, any kind of solution that you have. You know how long the route was, how many kilometers you've driven. You know how many bins you collected within each route. This is something that every waste collection company, every modern waste collection company that wants to work with the data should have. And most of them do have it. Although I'll get to it, it's not always so easy to get the high quality data or all of the data. So everybody has it in some form. Not everybody knows how to work with it, unfortunately. And this applies to all of the sections that you see. And there's even more data. And like I mentioned, we don't know everything. Like we're not the Mr. Know-it-alls, but we learn every day. But this is a lot of data that we can work with, and we do work with. This is the first sheet. Maybe I forgot to mention, I don't want to mess it up now, but the way we work with the analysis itself, it's we use a very professional business intelligence tool powered by Click, which is one of the biggest companies. Some of you might know it. There's Microsoft Power BI, and there's Click, and there's other guys, of course. We work with this kind of stuff, which is really interactive. In the end, if there's time, I just don't want to waste it. I will show you how it looks and how we work with it, because it's really interactive, and you can filter anything you can. You can work with the data to the smallest level as you want to. Now back to the sheet. This sheet tells you, and this is very, very interesting, and the first one that tells you about the data quality, which I mentioned previously, like a minute ago. And data quality, I'll pause for a minute, because I need to tell you that I'll be showing you data from, it's real data, slightly modified, because we really value the privacy of our clients. But this is real data from one of our pretty big clients and pretty big cities within Europe, and that's all I can say. And this is the data from 6 months that we've gathered for all of their bins and all of their trucks that they have. Okay, so just so you know what I'm talking about and what kind of data I'm talking about. And even this pretty big and pretty modern waste collector, when we get the data that you saw, we found out that we are not able to work with 100% of the data, and maybe 100% we would not need that, but not even like 90% or 95%. As you can see, we can only work with 75% of the data. Why that is? Now that's $1 million question. You see that the total number of routes, or you see the total numbers right here. Like, what should it be if we were able to analyze all of the data? We are not able to do it, and here are the reasons why we are not able to do it. Now, basically the waste collection, not all of you may know, but basically the waste collection services work. One of the main parts of the data gathering sources is something they call the weight slips or weighing tickets. So every time the driver takes the car to the landfill or any kind of dumping site, it can be an incinerator or anything else, they need to fill in so-called the weight slip or weight ticket, where they add how full they were and where they actually get the car get weighed, and you see how much stuff you actually brought to the dumping site, so you know how heavy actually the waste was. And the data quality tells you that, okay, so we had 228 routes or tours out of these 1,300 that were missing those weighing tickets. Now, the reason is pretty simple, and not always, but if you ask, it's just because they got lost. The driver just lost them, and you just say, okay, like, never mind. But this happens also with the GPS data. You have some kind of GPS tracker, which is mostly good, but then again, you have 78 unfinished routes, because you just don't have the data. You have 78 routes with no assigned bins at all. So you do the planning, you print it out, you tell the driver, okay, so this is your job for today, or your job for today, so you have assigned certain bins. And then when you check back from the telemetry data and from the or any kind of other data gathering sources, you see there's 78 routes just missing, with no assigned bins, and this is pretty interesting and brutal, I would say. If I was the manager of the company, I would say that's too much, like 25% of that, one fourth of the data, I'm not able to work with just because my process is not right. I'm losing the waste tickets. Should I digitize the waste tickets so this doesn't happen? Should I automate? And we are big fans of this because we are a tech company, and we are big fans of digitization and automation, and we are trying to avoid people from all unnecessary processes. Of course, somebody has to drive the car for now. We'll see in the future, but somebody has to. They don't have to fill in the weight tickets on the paper. They don't have to lose it, from their pockets. They could just fill it in through the app, or they can have a more precise GPS tracker. The whole system should be more automated. So this is actually reality, and it's not. It's pretty common. Like, this is obviously not the only one that we've done, and missing data in terms of 75%, or that you are only able to work with 80%, sometimes 60% of the data. This is very common, and it's also something we are able to help with. I will jump very, very quickly to. There will be like 3 slides talking about efficiency and the costs, and which are really, really interesting. So, as I mentioned, this is the data from this one city, collected from the course of 151 days, to be precise. And as you can see, we do the calculations. It's pretty simple. It's you check the weight tickets, you know how many bins you were able to take out, you know how many cars you have available, you know what's the volume that the cars have, and you are able just to backtrack and back calculate the vehicle utilization and the use of their capacity. As you can see right here in the vehicle fill level, out of all of these routes and all of these kilometers driven and the hours spent on the roads, the cars were on average only 59% full when they got back to the dumping site. Now, there isn't the filter that I would show you. Now, if there in the click version, there is a filter that I could show you, and if we go below 50%, you would see that 1/3 of all of the routes driven, and 1/3 of the routes of all of these numbers, the cars came back to the dumping site, to the landfill, or whatever you call it, when they were only 50% full. Now, that's a huge room for me. That's a huge room for for improvement, and improving the stuff. It's like I'm not sure if I can think of this kind of business, but if I was if I had trucks and I was, I don't know, collecting coal or anything, and it's like sending the trucks, and the trucks got back with the commodity that you are supposed to take back, because for them it's a commodity, it's not just waste, for a waste collection company, and they got back when they were only 50% full. Now I would ask the driver, like, why is that? Like, how that happens? It's pretty insane, and it has a lot to do with the planning, and and everything has to do with the planning and the data that you are able to foresee. So you are able to react because you are able to foresee and you know how to plan the right collection. This is the same thing as with the bins itself. This number 44%, that means that the bins were on average only 44% full when they collected them. Now there's no sensors inside, but you are able to calculate this based on the assigned bins and based on the weight tickets as well. And you know that those bins are only 44% full. You cannot blame anyone, because the system and the way it works is actually that something that in the waste business we call the cycling routes, or the fixed frequency routes, and it's based on it's you are not able to plan pretty much anything, because you know that you have to take this bin out every Thursday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, twice a week, 3 times a week. That's a contract. That's how it's worked for decades, for 30 years, past 30 years. It hasn't changed, and you are not able to utilize the bin in a more efficient way. But it's not good, like, why would you collect only half empty bins? It doesn't make any sense for anybody. And maybe you should use sensors. Maybe you should think of other kind of planning tools, and maybe you should be able to react and not collect half empty bins. The same thing, and it's one of the KPIs for the management, is how many kilometers do I have to drive to collect one bin? As you can see, the average was 3.47 kilometers. So you can imagine the distribution. I guess it might be not that bad. The maximum is, though. So there has been a route where you actually have to drive 15 kilometers to collect one bin. So you can imagine what the distribution of the bins was like. And it has to be really, like the bins have to be so far away from each other, because that was the average distance between the bins. That's crazy. I mean, that really is crazy. Also, the same thing applies to the cubic meter, which and this becomes important when it comes to the money as well, because how many kilometers do you need to drive to collect 1 cubic meter? And we'll get to that from the cost point of view. But these are the KPIs that you're able to see. Now, the second sheet talks about the vehicle use, and thanks to our clients and thanks to the insight we got from them, this is something that they came up with, that this would be a really good point of view for the data. And let me explain very quickly. So you have your cars, and you have number of vehicles, and it's 19 vehicles that you have available for the job for the half a year, 6 months. Now, you know that the working hours of one vehicle is 8 hours per day. If you calculate that, that's all hours available. Now, here it becomes interesting. So you get a little more than 24,000 hours available of the cars. So in the ideal scenario, in the utopia that we are trying to reach or get close to, you would be able to utilize the car all of their working hours. Okay, so you should be able to utilize all of their working hours. Unfortunately, here's what happens, and here's where it becomes interesting. You see, the planned hours, actually the really planned hours that we are able to backtrack from the data, is only, it's not even 10,000 hours. Okay, so here's the like the biggest gap. You see the 24,000 available. But the real plan and the plan that they actually the manager and the planner gave to the drivers is not even 10,000 hours. So there's a huge gap. And why do you have these cars? Like why do you even need the vehicles if you could maybe just sell them? And obviously you can do the job with smaller amount of cars. And all of this tells you the same thing. Another nice topic is not even this gap. But even the plan fulfillment, so basically the way it works is that they got some kind of a plan, and they are able to fulfill it, and the drivers actually here with this client were able to fulfill the plan only a little more than 87%. Is it too much? Is it? I'm honestly, I haven't, I've never run the waste collection companies. I don't know if that's a lot, but there's a huge gap. Like, I would ask, why are we not fulfilling the plan? The same thing, or a slightly different point of view, you can see right here. So basically, this is the combination, or the pair of the columns shows you one vehicle. And you see the plan versus reality driven, and there's just a ratio of the available working hours. This basically means, and this is pretty good, because basically it means that you are able to. This is strange, but this tells you that you are able to do the job even quicker than it was planned for you. The reason is very simple. Since the drivers are only using their skills in their heads, so there's no navigation in the trucks, and this, I know this happens in different cities, but a lot of companies and a lot of cities don't have any kind of navigation, live navigation. So it's just how well skilled is the driver and how skilled he is to drive this tour that was planned for him. Now they plan the routes. It's really not so flexible. They do it every 5 years, even every 7 years. But even if you did it every 2 years, what happens is you plan the route for the driver. You know that he should work for 8 hours. You give him the plan of the schedule of the collection of the bins, and for the first 2 months it takes him actually 8 hours. But then he finds his way. He knows that, okay, so this is not the route that I should take. This is somewhere where I should park. This is somewhere where I should back up. And the reality is that after 6 months or a year, they are able to do these routes in half of the time. And then they sit actually back in their like technical room and they play cards. This is true story. So I'm not even joking. And that actually happens. So most of all, and I think the hottest number from all of this, the whole sheet is 43%. So the workload of all of the trucks is 43%, which is crazy. And you can see it here in the column, like how utilized are these trucks, or are they just actually staying in the parking lot? And based on this, you could tell that maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, all of the dark colors, these are the cars that are not utilized enough. And you don't know why you actually keep them. You should, some of them should be sold. Now, to be honest, the truth is that they don't track the data with this client. They don't track the data of the cars that are not actually in use. So they don't know if it's in the workshop because it's broken. So a lot of the times when we say it's not utilized, from the data point of view, it's true, but it wasn't available. So, but this is the data they don't track, so we are not able to work with them, and we just provide the best that we can. But don't be confused. This happens a lot. And this is a common story and a usual story for all of the analysis that we've done, that the workload of the vehicles is highly inefficient, and the utilization of the vehicles is actually not good. I don't want to say bad, because I don't want to be bad to them, but it's really not good, and there's a huge room for improvement. Now we are getting to money. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how much time I've spent, but I'll just keep going. So we are getting to money, which is very important for any, and this is really interesting for any kind of CEO, CFO, anybody who works with even the sales director, because this is pretty simple. What it tells you. It gives you the average cost per route. It gives you the average cost per kilometer. It gives you the average cost per bin, and it gives you the average cost per ton. Now, this is for any kind of CFO or for any kind of controlling. This is the holy grail, I would say, or should be. And they all work with this kind of data, from the cost point of view. And you need to work with that kind of data just to see how effective you are being and what is the cost for every single metrics that you need to that you want to backtrack. Now, for the sales guys, what's really what should be really interesting is the cost per ton or cost per bin. Why that is? The reason is, how do you set you need to have this data because you need to set the pricing structure for your commercial clients. So there's you need to differentiate between the municipal clients and the commercial clients, which is a very, very good business, and that's actually the real business for every kind of waste collection company, at least within our region, the commercial clients. And based on this, you can very easily do it because you know, okay, so this is my cost per bin, and this is my margin that I need, and this is the price for the customer. And the same thing with kilometers. If it's too far away, I can combine these numbers, I can play around with them, I can work with that, and just show him what this should be like and what the pricing should be like. The same thing, cost per ton, because like I mentioned earlier, the waste for collection companies, it's not waste for them, it's commodities. It's something they are able to commercialize, they are able to sell, so they do business with it, and it's commodity for them. And you need to see how what's your margin now, and if you are being profitable or you are in loss. You know, when you are selling a ton of a certain commodity, of course you can choose and you can filter by every commodity, because no business works with the combination of all commodities. So you need to do it based on different commodities, which is obviously something that you can do within the Click tool, and you can do much more. The same thing, you know, you can analyze based on every single different route, like why is this specific route, why is this specific truck and this specific bin so costly? Like, why is that really? Because some of them are really costly. Like you can see, some of these stores are extremely costly compared to others, and it's the same thing. Like, why is the maximum 822 compared to the minimum cost per route? Why is there such a huge gap? All of everything that you can analyze, you can get from this sheet, from the money point of view. The last sheet, I'm honestly simplifying a little bit, just so I don't talk too much and I don't put massive data to you. The last sheet is something that we use for our upselling, just to give you an idea. It's not super precise, but it's giving you an idea of how much money you could save if you implemented at least one of our solutions, or I would say one of ours. It doesn't have to be necessarily ours, because it's just number, and if we stick to the numbers, if it's some kind of solution. One of our solution basically is if you look at the bin fill level, and you saw that on the first sheet, it's 44% now. With sensors inside of the bins, you can easily get to 80%. And this, of course, is variable throughout the specific commodities. With some, it's utopia. You're not able to get to 90% or 95%. With some, like metal or glass, you're easily able to get to 90 or 95, because those bins take a long time to get full. So you are able to react quite quickly, and you can rely on the data, and you will avoid overflowing of the bins. That will never happen. It's just having the sensors inside that is able to measure how full the bin is. With the basic calculation and with the basic math, it's I think this is pretty straightforward. You know, if you pump up the fill level to 80% at least, this is the money that you could save, and it's a lot. It really is a lot. Of course, like I mentioned, the math is a little simplified, because if the bins are full to 80% compared to 44, you will have to travel to the dumping site and the landfill a little more often, and so you will have to drive a little more kilometers. But we have tools that actually optimize even that. So in the end, it might not be 45% that you save, but it will definitely be 35%. So it's not like that there will not be a huge difference in the savings. It's just giving you an idea of what the savings could be and would be if you as a client or any client implemented this kind of solutions. And you can see it from the cost point of view as well, per ton, and what that happens to what it happens to what it does to your margin and to your profitability. Now, I went through this. So the collection efficiency analysis, like I mentioned, it's giving you and evaluating your current practices. It is also able to answer the return on investment on a specific smart waste project. Even our projects, we are able to calculate that if you implement a couple of sensors, if you install our watchdogs, if you do anything else, if you do our route planning, if you use our driver navigation app, all of that we are able to calculate, and in terms of what the future will look like for you, and even before the pilot projects and after the pilot projects. The data sources, since the whole topic is based on data, and I mentioned that we look at it as the data sources, all of our solutions. The smart sensors that I mentioned for monitoring the fill level of the bins, the watchdog, which is a combination. This is a pretty sexy hardware, honestly, because it's a combination of RFID reader, super precise GPS tracker, and not just GPS. We try to everybody tends to speak about GPS, but GPS in technical terms is only one of the location services. So we use actually GNSS, which is the global navigation system. We use GPS, Galileo, Baidu, and all of them in the device. Sorry for that. And it's also a communication unit. So this allows you to connect to the car, and this is a really sexy tool, and I would recommend everybody to get it on their truck and on their waste vehicle. The data source is RFID tags and stickers, which allow you and enable you to precisely track the moment the collection happened, and even if the collection happened. And this is with the combination of the RFID reader, as I mentioned in Watchdog. The smart buttons, it's a simplified version of the smart sensors. So the smart buttons, basically, if the bin is full, you just press the button and we know that it's full, and we do all the magic on the back end. And with Orval, all of our applications, either web-based applications or mobile applications, which we have lots of now, and this goes to asset management module, the waste monitoring module, or route planning module, and the fleet management and everything else. And what's really important is that getting the SS status of the collection efficiency analysis. That's the first part. Now, if I wanted to do the wise decisions, and I wanted to see, okay, so I implemented a couple of things. I got few sensors, I got few watchdogs, and I put it on my trucks, and I see that there's an improvement. We can do this collection efficiency, and everybody should do the analysis. Either it's us or any kind of other analysis, and work with the data 6 months after. At least every 3 months. Every quarter. Everybody should do these kind of analysis. What's really sexy or simple about this is that we are directly able to communicate. So there's no integration needed, because it's all under one roof. Of course, if you have other platforms that you use, we are able to integrate through that, and that's honestly no problem. Basically, this is it. I don't want to go into much detail about every other solution, because there will be specified webinars. If you're interested, please just join, and feel free to join anytime. But if there's any questions, I see here in our private chat that we've probably answered, or we've been trying to answer many of them within the time, and in the meantime. But if there's any questions now, please, Robo or Janka, let me know, and maybe I can answer something. All right, probably. Let's see, there are pickups made every Monday. Is it possible to get average fill level report of the bin between weeks? I'm not sure if I understand. Wait a second. Let's say there are pickups made every Monday. I get that. Is it possible to get average fill level between pickups? I mean, everything is possible, but I'm not sure, honestly, if I understood the questions. Wait a second. If you're only using the single sensor, is it possible to get the average bin level between pickups? Oh, okay, I get it. It's yes, you are able to get that. You are able to get that average bin level between pickups. Is Here's how the sensors actually work. They work in a way that you get the data how many times a day you want. So we are able to get to 24 times a day to the measuring from the sensors. So you can choose every single hour of the day, and you see how full the bin is actually with the detail to every single hour of a day. The sensor, of course, itself is able to recognize when the collection happened, and it's based on either the accelerometer, which is built in, or based on the drop of the data that you can imagine. And so, yeah, in between the pickups, we are able easily to calculate what the average fullness of the bins between the pickups is. Of course, that's quite easy. And I don't want to sound like bragging, but of course, that's something we do. The collection efficiency analysis that you just saw now is only one part of the analytics, the ecosystem that we have, because we use the smart analytics and the click analytics to everything else, and we gather the data from all the sources that we have, and we implement them and we interpret them in a different way. So we visualize them in a different ways based on the customer needs. Even what you saw now, that's not like that's fixed and it has to be like that. It varies throughout the customers, because, like I mentioned, everyone has specific needs and something else that they want to see or they use, and it's not so easily like replicable. It is to a certain level, but everything is you can differ in that, yeah, and we can adapt to every single need. So yeah, thank you, Jacob. So if there's any other question, just go ahead. I'll try to. It should pop up, so hopefully everything was answered for you. As mentioned, please stay tuned within this month and the next month, the upcoming one. These two lovely gentlemen will speak about the waste logistics in manufacturing, and this is our sales director that you definitely need to get to know. And as you can see, that's going to happen on the 16th of February. And the lovely guy Martin is going to be speaking about the watchdog that I mentioned, which I call the sexy device. Wait a sec, is there a way not to only monitor the capacity of the bin, but able to scan the waste within the bin to understand waste category types upfront? Very good question, Jonathan. Thanks for asking. There will be a way. This is my answer. So the technology is a little different. So what we use now is ultrasound. Ultrasound is basically, I will say, is only able to tell you the fill level. And if you use a different technology, you are able to get the waste streams, and you are able to recognize the waste types. With that, it is something that we are working on. And please, Jonathan, keep us in mind, and we will have this ready in the next half of this year. And it's based basically on the radar technology, which is able to scan through the waste, as you mentioned, and recognize different waste types. It's a pretty challenging job from the technical point of view. It's really not easy, but it's doable, and it's in our roadmap, and we'll get there, because the team that we have is extremely good and professional, and we were able to create magic. So yeah, it happens even in the Central Europe and even in Slovakia. That's it, I guess. This is me. This is the lovely picture from a couple of years ago when I was young and full of hope. And now this is the hit of reality. Please hit me up anytime. Call me, message me, LinkedIn me, or email me with any other questions or any other details that you might have. This was a high-level picture of the collection and the data analysis. There's lots to talk about, even in much more detail. So if you have any kind of questions, I'm here. Robert is here, and the whole Sensoneo team is here for you. Please stay tuned, and thank you very much for joining, and stay safe and have a good rest of the week. Thank you, guys. Bye.